Hi there guys, welcome to today's episode of All Monsters Go to Space. Today I'm going to be talking about the Dokkaebi from Korean mythology. In English, it roughly translates to goblin, but the Korean goblins are completely different to ours. So I'm primarily just going to be talking about the Korean one in this video. They are described as being comically ugly, with red faces, covered in fur and with bulging eyes and 1 or 2 horns. Sometimes they're described as only having 1 leg or 2 legs, but never any more. They are created by a spiritual possession of an inanimate object that's been covered or stained with blood. They're normally things like discarded tools. I believe the most common one is actually a broom. Their physical appearance and their attributes tend to differ from location to location and also from different periods, but they're always described as fearsome yet awe-inspiring. Now, normally, Dokkaebis aren't evil. They're kind of more like tricksters, a bit naughty really. It's been told that they benefit good people by helping them out, or if you're a bad person, then they will hinder you in everything that you do. There are different types. I'm not going to mention all of them as there are quite a few. The most common ones are cham, which are the mischievous kinds, ge, which are wild or evil goblins, gatsuki or changak, which are male or female goblins who seduce humans. There are onans, which are the one-eyed goblins. They like to eat a lot. And then there's the odari, which are the one-legged ones, and their preference is to wrestle. But again, all these attributes can differ depending on which region of Korea you might be kind of researching them. The mischievous ones and also the odari tend to be around and about, normally where lost travellers will be. If they do come across a lost traveller, they will ask them to wrestle. Now, Dokkaebis are very, very skilled in wrestling, and the only way to actually defeat them is to hook their leg and exploit their right side. Since they only have 1 leg, they're unbalanced. And then as you do that, you pull them over, basically. Now, the Korean wrestling, which is different to what you might think, it's called siram. And basically, the best way to win this kind of wrestling is to hook a person's leg and pull their body over yours, basically unbalancing them and getting them on the mat. Now, it's described that a Dokkaebi's fire is blue and tall in its attributes. So if ever you see tall blue flames randomly appearing, you're probably in the presence of a Korean goblin. They do possess magical items. Some will possess a gamtu, which is a hat that grants them invisibility, and others might have a bangmangi, which is a club, sort of like a magic wand. And basically it can summon any item, but only if the item is already in existence. They can also shapeshift. So even if you do see a 1-legged one or a 1-eyed one, don't be fooled, as they can change their forms into almost anything. Now, it's said that some people will perform rituals to the Dokkaebis to help bring in good harvests or great fortunes. They're also known to chase away evil spirits, since Dokkaebis aren't evil in themselves. But they're not good looking either, so it's said that if a demon sees a Dokkaebi's face, it will run away. But other places or other people will perform rituals to chase Dokkaebis away because they believe that they bring fire and contagious diseases. Now, the most common story I've found referencing Dokkaebi in Korea is the tale of an old man who lived alone in the mountains when a Dokkaebi visited him. The old man and the old man gave him a beer and they became friends. The goblin then visited him often, but one day the old man was out for a walk on his own, looked into a lake as he was passing it by. He realised he looked like a Dokkaebi, and in fear he realised he was becoming one. So he made a plan to prevent this change from happening. He invited over the goblin and asked what his biggest fear was. The Dokkaebi said it was blood. Yours? He replied, money, that's why I live by myself. The next day the old man killed a cow, sometimes a rooster, and poured the blood all over his house. When the goblin visited the next day, he was angered and ran away in fear. The next day he returned and threw bags of money at the old man. He runs away and then never returns. The old man then became the richest person in town. So I think the old man definitely won on that one. Now, the tales of Dokkaebi are told throughout Korean history that I've been able to find, and even to the modern day they're actually still kept in popular culture. The most common one is a play for children and children's folktale books, but the play is called Nolbo Meets Dokkaebi. Also in Larry Correa's 2014 novel Monster Hunter Nemesis. And very recently there was a Korean drama called Guardian, The Lonely and Great God. There are quite a few others, but again, as I've said, it's mainly throughout children's books that you will find stories of the Dokkaebi. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye!